Hi, everybody. I'm Dave,
And I'm John.
and we are the Coffee and Capes podcast. We've got some exciting news here. We've got some growth happening. We're trying to become kind of a legitimate podcast, as legitimate as can be. John, tell the people where they can find us.
Yeah, we've expanded now. We went from posting the stuff on YouTube, and now we can be found on Spotify podcasts under Coffee and Capes. Remember, it's coffee and then apostrophe N apostrophe capes, not coffee and capes. I don't know what you'll end up with there. And then also now we're on iTunes. So you can follow us on iTunes, which is pretty cool. And you can find us on Instagram under Coffee and Capes. Coffee _ the letter N _ capes. Please follow us. We only have one post on there. We promise we'll post more.
Yay, that's so exciting. I guess if you're listening to this, you found us somehow, but we want you to find us at all the places.
Yes, and please leave reviews.
Yes. Oh, speaking of, if they want to send somebody wants to send an episode idea or respond to something we say, John, how can they get a hold of us?
You can email us at supers, SUPERS, at coffeeandcapes.com.
That is just so official. You're amazing. Yeah. Thanks for handling that.
Yeah. And the website is not active yet, but the email is active, and that's what really matters.
And we are old guys, so we still do a lot of email.
We still do a lot of email, yeah, absolutely.
So feel free to email us and be old like us.
Right. So Dave, what coffee are you drinking this morning?
I am still drinking the Mother Nature roast that we talked about last time.
Yep.
However, I'm enjoying it in my Feed cup, which is a fun organization. Somebody gifted me this mug a couple years ago, and it's one of those companies where every time you make a purchase, a portion of that purchase gets donated. And in this case, for Feed, it's goes toward providing meals for families that are experiencing food scarcity or hunger.
Nice, that's great.
This mug, it says, according to the mug thing on the bottom, that this mug provided 4 meals for a family. So
that's cool.
Yeah,
very cool.
And foreshadowing, someday Coffee and Capes hopes to have a similar idea in place.
Something, yeah, but we'll talk about that as time. Time comes around.
It's not today or tomorrow, but
no, that's true.
But soon and forever.
Yeah, soon and forever. That's
an old person reference. How about you, John? What are you enjoying in your mug today?
Actually, we got this one in the store. It's the Folgers 1805 blend dark roast, which is something we found, and I got to be honest, not usually a Folgers kind of guy, but the 1805 is really good. I can't complain. And I mean, if you're looking for a really solid coffee and you don't want to spend $20 for a bag, this is a good one, and it's available in supermarkets everywhere.
That's amazing. I don't know what I expected you to say, but Folgers was not it.
I know, right? It wasn't what I expected to be saying either. And then of course I have my coffee cream in there, much to the chagrin of my friend here. And then shout out again to Lady Bird Provisions who make the coffee bombs that I put in here.
There you go.
Yeah.
Look, this is a non-judgmental podcast. If you like to ruin your coffee with some creamer, you're perfectly free to do so, just as long as you don't expect me to do so as well.
No, I would never do so. That's the thing, right? We have our own likes, we have our own dislikes, and then we don't push them on others. We just accept them for who they are.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
1805. So those beans have been sitting around since
I have no idea. I don't know if that's a reference to the house where the coffee came from, the address, the year. I have no clue. But it's good. It's not bad.
Here's a deep dive, but it reminds me of a one line from Highlander, the original movie from '86, right? They're doing the research on the guy. apparently this guy's been creeping around since the 1800s. Like those coffee beans have been creeping around since 1805.
They've
Like,
actually been, yeah, they've been carried around in a knapsack by Sean Connery.
yeah.
Since then, they were found when he passed away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So our
impressive
episode today.
Yes. Let's dig in. We're going to talk about what if. That's why we're calling this one What If the Discussion.
Yeah. Right.
So if you haven't seen the latest, if you haven't gotten all the way through this first season of What If, pause us. We'll miss you, but it's important. Pause us. Go watch the show, catch up, and then come back. We'll still be here when you get back.
Yes, yeah. If you pause us, we don't go away. Kind of like a rash, but it's it is important. We don't want to spoil things for people, and we when we start talking about these kinds of things, we avidly talk about them, which means we end up talking about all of it. Right. So if you haven't seen it, like Dave said, pause, go watch it, come back, unpause, and enjoy the rest of the episode. So, Dave, you watched it last night, yes?
I did, yeah. So, the series as a whole, we talked about this a little bit in our first episode, which if you missed, go back, check that out. You got to get to the end. It's like the last maybe 10-ish minutes or whatever.
Right.
So feel free to check that out. But as a whole, I really, really enjoyed what Marvel did with this series. I think it was a lot of fun. They definitely had some fun with it. Playing with character expectations. Love that we got to hear many of the actors who play these characters in the MCU. That was, just adds a layer of authenticity that really, for me at least, kept me in the universe and like it grounds the show in what we've come to know and expect from Marvel TV and movies. All that was terrific. Boy, Jeffrey Wright as the Watcher, just so good. And a couple of the voices that weren't the original actors did a pretty good job sounding like them, I think.
I would agree.
Yeah. And so overall, I really enjoyed the series. I would say I thought that they didn't quite stick the landing. Like the last episode was fine, but it didn't blow me away the way a couple others did. I would say it was maybe at best the third best episode. Maybe
what were your top two?
I think the one before it, I don't even remember what it was called. Oh, What If Ultron won? Like I think that was really, really well done with the apocalyptic world that Hawkeye and Black Widow are in, and the way Ultron eventually like finds and hunts down the Watcher, and just the way the Watcher was freaking terrified of that and so thrown off. And then for me, still the top one is the second one. That what if T'Challa became Star-Lord? Like that's, to me, that's the cream of the crop of this set of episodes.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think that episode 2 with what if T'Challa had wound up leading the Guardians of the Galaxy was easily the best episode out of all of them. I agree with you that the episode before this one was phenomenal. Ultron heading out through the multiverse, discovering the multiverse. I was a little bummed out. I was a little bummed out because I thought the voice actor could have gotten a little closer to sounding like James Spader with his inflections and tonality. And even if he couldn't hit kind of the James Spader voice, at least a little bit more of like the James Spader like timing in how he approached the conversation would have been great, because James Spader did such a phenomenal job. And I'm a big James Spader fan. Just in general, if you've ever seen the show Blacklist, it's available on Netflix. He's phenomenal in that. He just does a really good job with like quirky but highly intelligent, like thoughtful, like he can travel a gambit of emotions, and his voice is very, very particular, very particular. And so it threw me in that episode, and but I still enjoyed it. You know, the discovery of, like you said, the discovery of the Watcher, where he's suddenly aware of the Watcher paying attention and kind of peeking at him and looking at him from, like, you know, different locations.
Yeah.
In regards to this last episode, I actually really thought they did a nice job of bringing everything home, of tying everything together through all the different episodes, like bringing bringing a character from each episode into kind of that final one, connecting them all, seeing them all like kind of work together. And and just kind of, I didn't expect them to tie it all together like that.
Right, I agree. I didn't expect that either, but it still felt just a little forced to me. Like, the Watcher has access to a billion multiverses, and he just so happens to choose the like 7 or 8 heroes that we've had stories from so far. Like,
well, we've had this. Okay, so we've had this conversation before, and it's like the person going, well, space travel in Star Wars is totally unrealistic. Of course it is.
Right,
it's a movie. To effort the plot along, right, to get to where we're supposed to get to, you have to suspend a certain level of disbelief to go, okay, cool. Like, these were the options that they came across out of all the universes. Perfect. That was great. I mean, it would have been, to me, I think it would have been a whole lot weirder if all of a sudden he would have pulled a totally different like set of characters for this, you know. And so
fair point.
You know, I think that it's that, and we do this in geek culture all the time. I think we're like the worst at it. And I'm preaching against it right now, but I'm super guilty of it, just like anybody else. And that is the idea of well, that doesn't make sense. That's totally unreal. Like, why does that's dumb. Right?
Well, magic hammers, that's totally okay.
Totally legit.
Yeah.
Totally legit. I go out and like hold my hammer up to the sky in the garage every now and then, expecting lightning to hit it because it's that realistic, right?
Yeah.
So I think that, you know, we all have that tendency within geek culture, and it's okay. Right? It's okay. But I thought they did a nice job. I could see it from a writer's perspective, I guess, of, oh, cool, like, nice job bringing. So from a writing perspective, they found a way to link everything together in the end. And that's the ultimate goal, right? Is to try and bring everything together in a way that's cohesive and makes sense. My favorite part of that final episode, there were a couple things that I really liked. Like, I enjoyed the Captain Carter Black Widow friendship,
for sure.
And we'll talk a little bit more about those characters in a bit, but I loved that they got, kind of like you, the voices of specific characters. Let's give a shout out to Chris Hemsworth again for comedic, like the Vegas war cry was amazing. And Ultron's response was so good. I've never heard that war cry before. And I was like, so good. And he didn't let it go. Did you notice? Like, when he zapped him again, he yelled Vegas again. Like,
I don't think I did notice that.
Yeah, go back, watch it again. He does it again, and all of a sudden he yells Vegas. It goes again. It was great.
That's pretty great. Just a word on the Ultron. So I looked it up. Ross Marquand is the voice of Ultron, and I think when he first appeared, like the first part of the 8th episode or whatever, when Ultron 1 episode, I thought he was almost channeling James Spader. Like for a moment, he had moments where he was.
He had moments. I'd agree with you on that.
And then it kind of came and went.
He lost it.
Which, as an actor, that's got to be so hard. Like, here, take over this role and sound just like this other guy who has a very
distinct,
almost unique timing and timbre and all of that. Like, here, be this guy. Like, well, it's kind of hard to do.
Yeah, and who was the voice actor again?
Ross Marquand.
Ross Marquand, if you ever come across this episode, we are not belittling your skill at all. I could not have done that any better. I don't think Dave could have done it any better.
No.
So hats off to you. It was still super enjoyable character.
To be oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's just, to your point, James Spader is very particular, probably very difficult to channel. Unlike William Shatner.
Marquand, who you might have run into in places such as Invisible, The Walking Dead, Robot Chicken, American Dad, Family Guy.
Oh, wow.
Video games.
Nice.
Yeah.
So he's got a history.
He was the Red Skull in Endgame.
Ooh.
And Infinity War.
In that one, I thought he was Hugo Weaving until I found out he wasn't. So
yeah,
well done there, man.
Great
job.
Thank you, IMDb, for that information.
Yeah. Yes. Shout out to IMDb. I will say though, and I hadn't mentioned my favorite part, Benedict Cumberbatch.
Oh,
his appearance, and I thought he did such a great job in the episode around Doctor Strange, which was heart-wrenching.
So bad.
Yeah. Just
not bad as in like I didn't like it, but bad as in
it was just soul-sucking.
Yeah. Yes.
But to see, they always kind of hint at, like, Strange is the sorcerer supreme. He is, the hope, the all-powerful, like the best of us all, as the Ancient One in Strange puts it, right? He is the best of us all. And to see him, like, essentially just power everybody up and hold Ultron at bay. Ultron with all the Infinity Stones, right? Was pretty great. Like that was pretty good. I enjoy seeing characters hit, and we talked about like power level fluctuations.
Yeah.
But in this regard, I didn't think it was an unexplained fluctuation. It made total sense because he had channeled all this like dark energy and absorbed all these things and destroyed an entire universe on his own. And then at the end, being given the responsibility and taking the responsibility kind of as his penance for all the damage and all the harm that he did in his own universe, of watching over Zola and Killmonger, which the realization that he had at the end, I think this is what I really enjoyed about him in this show, is the realization at the end when he goes, we were never meant to win.
Yeah.
Like just that aha moment of, oh, I get it. We were never meant to actually win this battle. This is what we were supposed to get to. And the realization that the Watcher interfered to a degree, right? But didn't like full blown interfere, but interfered to a degree.
Yeah. Recognizing the destruction that we have done and making penance for it. If only there were some real world analogies for that.
Let's give it up to Marvel for like, and comic books in general, for really bringing some of those and attempting to bring those things. I mean, you can go all the way back so far in the various like storylines. I mean, even, and I know there are people out there, you know, that say Superman's about truth, justice, and the American way, and all this jazz. But if you really take a look at it, Superman is an immigrant, right?
Right.
He's
Yeah.
an undocumented alien on American soil,
Yep.
who became a champion of justice for a country that, had they discovered who and what he was at a different age, would have probably made him a pariah.
Right. Written by, as I understand it, a couple of Jewish guys, probably around the time that good old US of America was rejecting boatloads of Jewish folks trying to escape Nazi Germany.
Yep. And then we had Marvel created the X-Men
right
in the 60s. Well documented that was, you know, an attempt to talk about diversity at a time when, you know, race was such, and still is, right?
Yeah.
We understand that. But was such a massive hot button and issue. And
strong, they're strong, almost obvious parallels. Again, also well documented with Magneto as Malcolm X character and stuff, approach to things, and Xavier as the Martin Luther King Jr. approach to things, like how to deal with civil rights from both those perspectives. And I think the comics did as well or better than most of showing how each approach has its merits.
Yeah. Yep. I would agree. So we're on a tangent now.
Yeah. But that's what If does, right? It sends you on tangents.
Yeah, it sends you on tangents. I do want to talk about, because you're a big fan of this character, so I'm really curious your feelings and take on like Party Thor.
Yeah.
In What If.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I thought the Thor-centric episode was a lot of fun. And maybe the most fun the series had. Like, it was the only one that didn't tear your heart out, basically.
Right.
I thought that one was really interesting as far as essentially saying Thor and Captain Marvel are equally powered. It just kept hitting each other across the dang planet.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
It was pretty great. Yeah. And I'm here for any time Marvel will let Chris Hemsworth be funny, because as you said, he's so good at that. And I think, you know what? I think that's a reasonable alternate history. You know, the sliding doors, to reference another part of culture, I guess. Like if that door slid, that character, as it's been set up in the Marvel universe as a whole, easily could become Frat Boy Thor. I mean, I think that's well keeping within that character.
Yeah, and they set it up well, right? Because the nice thing about What If is they set up each episode with this is the thing that changes everything here. And in that episode, it was, what if Odin doesn't take Loki and keep him? What if Odin takes Loki and gives him back to the Frost Giants? Which I think people might have missed. The greater ramification of that action is now there's no war that happens, that Odin has a much softer approach by giving Loki back to the Frost Giants, to King Laufey, right? Giving him back his own son to raise has created a strong bond and relationship between two people that were going to battle, like that we were used to seeing, like fight to the death and go after each other over and over again. And that was brought even more to light when Party Loki showed up, and you know, they're like, my brother from another mother. Like literally they had that strong relationship and that strong bond. And you know, so I like that was interesting to me, is that subtle kind of underpinning of like, this one thing had so many different like ramifications.
Yeah, for sure. Couple kind of random thoughts about that. So, growing up with the frost giants meant that Loki grew up blue and big like the frost giants. That was interesting. Like, okay, I liked it. Like, I'm not sure how that works, but that's pretty cool. I wondered, how does that version of Thor become worthy of Mjolnir?
It's a good question, right?
Because it didn't seem like it, at first. Certainly, my caricature or my stereotype of a party boy guy is that you are not worthy of,
Right.
just in general. If you're a frat boy, like partying all the time, you're not worthy of Mjolnir. But in that universe, what's it take? Like, to something they said in the finale about, well, these stones are different. Well, maybe that Mjolnir is different, and it's a different metric to become worthy of that Mjolnir. And I'm not necessarily, it sounds like I'm saying, it's lowered the bar, and maybe that is what I mean, but
I don't think so though. I think that if you go back to the first movie, the first Thor movie, Thor was that guy and had Mjolnir. It wasn't until he went and to pick a fight with the frost giants, and Odin had to go in and fix everything, that Odin grabbed the hammer and spoke the words, like, "He so ever be worthy shall have the power of Thor," and then chucked Mjolnir to Midgard. It wasn't until that actually happened. So if Odin gives Loki back, right?
Yeah.
And that fight never takes place, and those two kingdoms are actually friends, there's never any need for Odin to take the hammer away from Thor. So Thor gets to continue to wield Mjolnir. The words have never been spoken, right? So he just gets to keep it. As for the Loki thing, that begs the question, nature versus nurture.
Yeah, right.
Right? Which is not a discussion we're going to get into right now.
But it's another example of how just some tiny little thing like that points at deeper conversations, whether the writers mean to or not.
Right. I think there's a lot of intelligence in the writing rooms, right? I think there's a lot of psychology that exists there, a lot of like history that gets studied. I'm always really impressed with the writing that takes place and the depth of things that you can go into. And maybe just because of our age, we read deeper into it than you're supposed to, but I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I don't think supposed to. I was with you until supposed to there. I think it's just like everything else in life, as our life experiences change us, it changes how we react to things.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. My 15-year-old, almost 16-year-old reacts very differently to it than I do. And he should. He should. And for sure, 16-year-old me wouldn't have seen all of the depth of this.
Yeah, no. 16-year-old me, and honestly, like I think both of us have been collecting and reading comics since a very young age. I didn't see any of that when I was younger.
Yeah.
Right. I just saw like awesome superpowers and super buff men and super buff women doing incredible things and fabulous art and engaging stories. And as we get older and our experience in life like broadens our horizons, hopefully, right? Hopefully, we can see those subtle kind of underpinnings to things. So yeah, I agree. You wouldn't see it, and I'm sure there's some really wise 16-year-olds out there who see it that way and are, good on them. Those will be the ones that, hopefully grow up and change the world.
Right.
Even make it a better place.
Or write better stories, write new and different stories.
Yeah, write new and different stories
that help us experience the world. That's something. I will say my 16-year-old, his reaction was he thought, and I thought this was kind of funny because it showed my ignorance. He's like, I thought they kind of nerfed Ultron.
Nerfed Ultron, huh?
Look, I'm sorry, tell old unhip dad what that means. Oh, and they kind of powered him down. Oh, makes sense. Okay. I wish I had known that a couple weeks ago when we were doing the powered up.
Yeah, that would have been really good.
Yeah. They nerfed Ultron. But I think, I mean, that's one way to see it. I think your take earlier about how he just met up against another, well, actually two cosmic beings in the Watcher and that version of Doctor Strange that were just enough to hold him off.
Yeah. Yeah, they did a really nice job. I thought they did a good job kind of wrapping everything and going through it. And overall, and we talked about this, and I'm excited to get to kind of this point. Overall, one of the things I was the most impressed with, and I know they do a good job of this, both in Marvel and DC, and we're going to devote an entire episode to this. Well, one of the things that I really enjoyed seeing was the depth and presence of the strong women presented in What If, right?
Yeah.
And the development of that. I thought it was, in the last episode, I thought it was a really fun, kind of clever move to show Captain Carter and Black Widow on the same mission, that Rogers and Natasha were on, and they didn't rob Captain Carter of any of the strength that Captain America had.
Right.
Like none.
Yeah.
She's big, right? She's big, she's strong, she's powerful, she's intelligent, she's a little cocky, which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
I thought they brought Widow forward in a number of different ways. Her presence in the apocalyptic episode, right? And I love that Jeremy Renner came on and voiced Hawkeye. Like, way to go, buddy. I'm really excited for that show.
Oh, it's terrific.
So I thought that women got strong women got a nice representation in What If.
For sure. And in the penultimate episode, who's left? Everyone gets destroyed. Who's left? The two just normal human, exceptional human characters, but no superpowered characters in Black Widow and Hawkeye. And then who's left of them? Black Widow. Because she's just that capable and is just that strong and resourceful and determined, like iron will to just keep going. And then I did think it was a nice note to have her essentially be the one that defeats Ultron, that lands the killing blow, as it were.
Well, it's her and Captain Carter.
And Captain Carter together.
Right? Because Captain Carter goes up around the back and grabs him and pulls his head back so that she can get the clear shot into his eye.
Yeah.
And it was cool to see them bring Gamora in. And we had I don't know if you noticed, Gamora had Thanos' sword.
Yeah. Did I miss that? Was she introduced in the Star-Lord episode and I missed it?
She was introduced at some point, I think, in that episode.
Okay.
I mean, it bears going back and rewatching anyway, right?
Yeah.
It's such a great episode.
I feel like maybe she was just hinted at.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you have to go back and take a look, right, and see. But yeah, they also bringing in Captain Marvel into the Thor episode, and to your point, showing she can go toe to toe with Thor. And she's just that powerful. And I can't remember, but was that Brie Larson that voiced her?
It was not.
No. Okay.
It was not. One of the things I've been doing each time is pausing when they get to the cast list just to check it out. I mean, I know I could, as I did before, I could just look it up on the
right.
IMDb, but I don't know. There's something about that. I've enjoyed that little ritual of at the end of each episode looking at the voices and confirming who are the returners and who's kind of filling in.
Yeah.
The person taking on the Black Widow role has been Lake Bell, who's an actor who's been in a lot of stuff, but most recently that I know of as the voice of Poison Ivy in the Harley Quinn animated series, and she's just fantastic in that.
That series we'll have to talk about, and we'll talk about like DC. I think at some point down the road we'll also have to have like we'll focus some more on DC. That's coming up. It's just there's been a lot of Marvel stuff kind of on our mind.
Right.
But I love that show.
Yeah.
The animated Harley Quinn show is I'm dying for a third season.
It's so funny.
It is hilarious. I mean, my wife Rachel, like she loves that cartoon. She likes cartoons in general, mostly anime stuff, but she loves that cartoon. And whenever we see it on, it's on HBO Max, we come across it. She's like, "Oh, Harley Quinn," and we open it up. I'm like, no third season yet. Like, oh man, really?
Yeah.
I do have to say, Kate Bell, the first time Widow was introduced, kind of okay-ish. By that last episode, really, really nice, like job with coming across and really kind of nailing the Scarlett Johansson like Black Widow voice and inflection thing. There were moments I thought, okay, this could be Scarlett Johansson when she was talking. And
this, again, that's a tough row to hoe, right?
Yeah.
How to sort of channel that person, but also make him your own, and not just try to do your version of that other actor. Like I think Lake Bell does a decent job there.
Yeah. And whoever it was that did you say who it was that was playing Captain Marvel?
I did not, because I don't remember.
Okay.
But I will.
But I mean, phenomenal job, because I have to say, I really like Brie Larson as Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Right? I enjoy Captain Marvel as a character in general, and how powerful she is, but how vulnerable she is, how human she is, despite the fact that she can go toe to toe with Hulk. She can go toe to toe with, Thor. She can go toe to toe. She took out Thanos' ship.
Yeah.
As we are all aware of, all the cannons start pointing at the sky and start firing like crazy. And all of a sudden this one blur just comes through and wipes that ship out.
Yeah. That probably is a subject for Howard Up Part 2 sometime down the road. Is Captain Marvel a little OP? I don't know, but it's fun to watch on screen, that's for sure.
Yeah. And
in this, in What If, she is voiced by Alexandra Daniels.
Oh, nice job, Alexandra Daniels.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of going back to the strong women in What If. I really enjoyed that they put them front and center in multiple episodes. And it's something I enjoy about Marvel and DC and what they've done with the movies. DC did it sooner and faster than Marvel did.
Yeah.
But that is just strong women represented. And I know that, and we've talked about this before too, and we'll just touch on it quickly. One of the things that geek culture likes to do is complain about, representation in shows and in comics and things like that, what was the most recent one? Like She-Hulk. There were comments complaining that, oh, now we're going to get a girl Hulk. Guys, you had a girl Hulk for a long time.
Yeah.
Right? We're getting Riri Williams as Ironheart. So the young teen version of Iron Man,
Yeah.
right? Iron Heart. That's going to be great.
What's that? That's coming out.
Yeah, that's coming out. She's going to be introduced in the next Black Panther movie in Wakanda Forever. So it does appear too, like, we're going to get Shuri and as hopefully, right, as the new Black Panther.
Right. Yeah.
So really nice to see that happening.
Yeah, and Okoye showed up in a
yeah,
episode or two of What If here.
Yeah,
she's kicking tail like always.
Yeah, Fedora Mirage.
Yeah,
I can never pronounce it right.
I know, it's tough.
Yeah, it's a tongue twister.
And Hope Van Dyne as the she'll take the sacrifice role and go for the greater good, but be super amazing while she does it. And
the Killmonger episode had Shuri and Pepper.
Right. Oh yeah. Right. Yeah.
Going after Killmonger.
Wanda? How about Wanda being like
Zombie Wanda?
Zombie Wanda. That's pretty funny.
Zombie Wanda. Yes, it was fun too to see when Strange opens the portal and all the zombies just pile on top of Ultron. And somebody makes the comment, I can't remember who, like, that's not gonna slow him down. And he's like, that's not why I did that.
Yeah, I think Thor says, zombies, good idea. And Strange says something like, it's not them, it's what comes with them.
Yes, that was it.
And then you get the Wanda reveal.
Yeah, and you get the Wanda reveal, and she like hammers Ultron, and then it doesn't kill him, and she gets that little like,
yeah,
like head cock thing that was going. That was fun. That there were just some fun moments, I think, in the finale too, and then it was very heartwarming when he first, nice little bit of humor when Black Widow says, "I'm not going through that door," right? And is having her moment talking about how like he could have saved everything, and the Watcher goes, it was really more of a
metaphor, of
a courtesy or something that, or a metaphor, and then it all disappears, and she's on a helicarrier, right?
Yeah.
And they're fighting Loki's army from the episode where she had died, right? Where Widow had died when Loki's army showed up because they had killed Thor. Remember, she was assassinated.
Oh, is that what that was?
Mm-hmm.
I missed that.
Yeah.
That was from when Hawkeye kills Thor with the regular Earth arrow episode.
Well, it was the original Ant-Man that was like going in and murdering all those people and assassinating all those people.
Oh, okay.
Right. But yeah, Thor gets.
Oh, right. And Thor dies, and then Loki comes in. Okay, so yeah. It was the Yellow Jacket episode.
Yeah, Yellow Jacket episode, and
Thor dies. Loki's army comes, and then and Widow died in that one. Yeah, because everybody died, right?
Yeah, everybody died except for they Cap was not out of the ice yet or something like that. They hadn't pulled him. That's why we saw Cap on the helicarrier fighting everybody, and then Fury's down and she pops up. He's like, "You're not my Natasha."
Yeah.
But I feel like it's like, it's great. Like she got a home to go to.
Yeah.
There was that little bit of like Disney happy ending.
Right. Was that Captain Marvel in the sky over the helicarrier?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Because remember at the end of that episode with Loki, they go and get Captain America out of the ice, and it's Nick Fury and Captain Marvel, and he makes some comment about two captains. Right?
Believe you, I have no recollection of that whatsoever. I'm gonna
yes. Yeah. it was one of those that kind of.
Because I remember they called her. They went to the beeper and called the ultimate thing for that was the Thor episode, though, right?
Yeah, they did that in the Thor episode though too.
Okay.
Because so they called her down a couple times in a couple different timelines, which I think is one of those things that now in retrospect, like we probably need to pay attention to a little bit more, because it could be saying something about her role in this next phase of Marvel movies. Because it's going to be a different team. Like
Right.
they're going to have another Avengers, but it'll be a different team. We got Sam Wilson as Captain America. You still have Captain Marvel, but I think she's going to be expanded a bit, it sounds like. There's a lot coming.
Right. Yeah.
There's a lot coming. Are we going to get to see, like, will Shang-Chi be part of that Avengers? But yeah, it was just nice to see so many strong women throughout What If, constantly being brought to the fore.
Right, and used as important parts of the plot, and not just, you know, eye candy or sort of.
Right.
Isn't it? We're just going to drop this one in and make like it. It's well integrated as it should be.
Yes, and they were given the credit that they deserve. Those women are amazing. You know, as are women in general. Women in general are amazing, and but the depiction of those women was very strong, and you know, it is throughout comics and throughout kind of geek culture. There are a ton of strong women who have been around since the onset of this culture.
Yeah. Because as I understand it, I think as we understand it, that's kind of the point of geek culture, is for everybody to know they belong.
Yes. Yep. That everybody has an opportunity to be a hero. You know, that everybody has it within them to elevate and be more. You know, and we respect one another, no matter where you come from.
And these stories can help us see that, I think.
Yeah. So next episode, we actually focus on this.
Yeah.
Right. We're gonna talk about in episode 5, Wonder Woman in comics. Right.
Can't wait.
Yeah. Well, Dave, I think we've covered What If.
Okay. What did you think about What If? Remember, you can email us at, what's that email address again, John?
supers@coffeeandcapes.com.
Tell us what you think. Find us on Instagram, and you know, follow us here on Spotify or Apple Podcasts.
Yeah. And if you've got suggestions for future episodes, things you'd like to hear discussed, you know, a question that you want answered or discussed. I don't know if we can answer questions. We probably raise more than we answer, but if you want to hear a topic covered, if you think there's something worth discussing that you truly love about this culture, let us know.
I like to say we could respond to questions. I'm not going to promise to answer anything, but I can respond to a question.
Yes, we'll respond to questions, but we can't answer. All right, guys, until next week.
Bye.